Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me in this extra credit opportunity for participation. Thank you, Professor, for providing us the opportunity to look at the Thomas-Kilmann conflict model instrument, the TKI. This is something that I've seen before in a previous course, and I was very interested in, so I'm happy to talk about it. If you've looked at the article, which I won't go into because I'm assuming you've been already introduced to it by Mishra in 2001. This article is very enlightening to just cover a little bit of the extra elements of understanding of Thomas-Kilmann conflict model. I have a still from a previous course. Here we have choices in conflict, the Thomas-Kilmann conflict grid. This is adapted from Conflict from Theory to Action 2000 by R. Lulofs and D. Cahan. So as you can see, this grid is very much a y-axis x-axis, where the y-axis is low to high assertiveness, and then we have low to high cooperativeness, and then you can see these bullet points with each mode, which would be competition, avoidance, compromise, collaboration, and accommodation. So in a, what in what situation would these modes be beneficial? So for the first one, we'll do low and low. So low assertiveness and low cooperativeness. That's avoidance. Think of an instance where maybe somebody sends you a draft um, flyer for an organization or a newsletter of some sort where there are typos, knowing that this newsletter isn't the final form and it's just a draft. You can critique and do a whole bunch of stuff, but maybe in this moment you might choose avoidance, so that you don't, you know, bring down the person that really worked on it, because it's just a draft and it could have been done quickly. So that's a way that maybe to avoid, or in the realm of conflict, having that avoidance might be beneficial, so there isn't any kind of like turbulence between you guys or girls. Next we can go high assertiveness and low cooperation, or cooperativeness, and that's competition. So where would competition be beneficial? So think about a situation where your words or your promotion of some sort of difference in thought is required to protect or create a safe environment for the organization. Think about maybe somebody in leadership like pulling the plug on some sort of funding. Maybe if it's for like buying donuts every Friday, but you have to save on the budget, or that budget's gonna get pulled from something else. Somebody has to make the decision. You gotta cut the donuts. I'm sorry, but as the leader of the team, we gotta cut the donuts. I'm sorry that you want to keep the donuts, but we're gonna cut the donuts, and that you're competing for your thought to get promoted to be whatever is established. So that would be something a competition might promote, because it's your thoughts versus other thoughts. So you're competing against that. Um, let's moving on to collaboration, which is going to be high on assertiveness and then also high in cooperativeness. So collaboration is something where two parties are coming together to make something happen, and I would say something like maybe cross departmental strategic planning, where both teams have something that they want. I think it was the example of one of the case studies in one of our case studies that we looked at, where the engineering department also worked with the sales department, and they had a lot of conflict. But in a scenario where collaboration works, it's both of them come together to establish whatever kind of direction they want to go to, so that they're on the same page, and that would be beneficial. That would be like appropriate for that collaboration mode of conflict. We'll move over to accommodation. So accommodation is going to be low on assertiveness but high on cooperativeness. So accommodation is something that we can do to maybe benefit the other party, but in a way where it's beneficial is maybe taking a step back to allow somebody else to step forward, can really build that trust, rapport, relationship for future opportunities where they can back you. And if this is something that you guys are trying to promote, where maybe you're not too invested, but they really are, they'll take on the responsibility for moving forward with their ideas that they're promoting, and then you can just support them, and then hopefully that gives you some credit in your, for a future endeavor that you might want to lead, and hopefully they'll support you in that effort. So that would be ideal. And then compromise, where compromise is, um, let's say for example in a hiring um cycle, come to the point where you're talking about salary, and somebody comes to you and provides you a number, like let's just say they want $100,000, but the role is offered to them at 90,000, and to get to that sweet spot, that compromise, they end up at 95, and both parties are happy about where they landed. And I think that is a mode that will find some benefit, that the party is happy to work with them, and their candidates also happy to receive the salary. So thank you so much for allowing me to share my thoughts on the Thomas-Kilmann conflict model. I think it's really interesting to look at how people navigate the space of conflict, and where they like kind of reside, especially when they're promoting like their position on things. So thank you so much. My name is Justin Serrano, and I hope everybody's having a wonderful day. Thanks.